Hi beauties, welcome back to my channel. So as of August 23rd, it is officially Virgo season, and as a Virgo myself, I thought it'd be so fun and best fitting for me to do a Virgo inspired makeup look. Now I do want to do this for all 12 of the zodiac signs as we change from season to season, and I just think that would be really fun because each sign to me at least represents a different vibe and a different color and a different look. So I definitely want to do that. But let's get right into this tutorial, and yeah. So when I think of a Virgo, I think of someone who is very simple and one with nature and represents this very earthy, foresty vibe, if that makes any sense. So I don't want to go in with anything too heavy or too cakey for this glam look because I just feel like Virgos don't represent that very full coverage face. So for starters, I'm going to be taking the Honey Dew Me Up primer from NYX, and this will just give my skin a nice glow and sticky base for my foundation. And I feel like this is a very good product for this look because it makes my skin glow, and when I think Virgo, I think glowy, I think natural, I think fresh. So definitely want to go in with this. And I'm just going to rub this in with my fingers. Now if you've never used this primer, it's very sticky and smells so good. I could say I smell it all day, but yeah. And it just really makes my foundation glide on my skin, and I feel like throughout the day it doesn't get cakey and it just gives my skin a natural glow. Now like I said, Virgos, I don't picture with like a full face of makeup. I picture them with a little bit more of a natural look, a very like, this is my skin but better kind of a vibe. So I'm going in with the Skin Perfect HD foundation from Kokie. Now this foundation is medium to full in my opinion, but I'm not going to put a lot on because I don't want a very full coverage look. I want something a little bit more natural for today. So I'm just going to put it mostly where my problem areas are and where I just want a little extra coverage. And then whatever is left on the back of my hand, I'll just rub all over my face. Now taking my Real Technique sponge, and I'm just going to buff this into my skin. I like this foundation too for this look because it makes my skin have this nice glow at the end, and it doesn't dry down very matte. It gives me a nice real looking skin-like finish. So for concealer today, I'm going to be taking the Age Rewind from Maybelline, and like I said in my last video, I always take the sponge off of mine because I feel like it soaks up all of the product. And I am just going to twist some up and like I'm doing, just pat it underneath my eye. And I don't blend it all the way out, just when I'm putting it on, I like to just blend it out a little bit and then let it dry, and then I'll go in with my sponge and blend it. And I will bring this down a little because I need just a little more coverage on my cheeks. And then cupid's bow and chin. Then I'm just going to be taking my Age Rewind in shade Light, which is just a shade lighter than the last one I used. And I'm just going to use this to highlight underneath my eyes. But I don't want to bring it down too low because like I said, this is a more natural look for me than a full beat glam look for me. So I don't want to do too much. I'm just taking my beauty blender again and just bouncing that out. And then blending out my chin. Alright, next I'm going to set my under eyes using my Maybelline Fit Me powder. And I always use a separate sponge for my cream products as of my powder product. Now you totally don't have to use separate sponges, it's just I like to do it because I feel like it gives me less buildup inside of my sponges. And just like on your face, you don't mix your cream products with your powder products, you know? Like you don't want to put a cream bronzer on top of already powdered foundation. Does that make sense? Like that's why I use separate sponges, just so I don't get any weird buildup in my sponges. Now this step is totally unnecessary. You can totally just use like the same sponge. This is just extra. So just taking that powder, and I'm just going to pack a little bit underneath my eye just to set. set it and forget it. And if I am looking down a lot, it's because I have my mirror right here, so it's just easier for me to see what I'm doing. And then with my Maybelline powder, I also like to set my smile lines, just because this powder is a little bit lighter, so it will highlight that area. And if you've never used the Maybelline powder, it really does give you like a nice airbrush look, and I feel like it minimizes pores and just gives a nice smooth finish to your skin. And then setting the chin as well with that powder. Now to set the rest of my face, I'm going to be taking the NYX finishing powder in shade Banana. And I like to just coat my sponge really nice, tap off the excess on like the back of my hand, and then I like to go in because I don't want to put too much on. Now for eye primer, I am just going to be taking that same Maybelline Adrienne concealer and patting that all over my eye. Then just going to take my sponge and bounce that out and set it with that same Maybelline powder. Alright, now we're going to move into the fun part of this look, the eyes. And to start off, I'm going to be taking shade Courtney here from the Jeffree Star Beauty Killer palette as my transition shade. This is one of the best transition shades I have in my collection. It blends very nicely, and it's just the perfect warm nude color for a transition. So I'm just going to run that back and forth in my crease and just build it up. Now I don't want my transition shade to be too built up because I am going in with a lot of darker colors. And so I want to keep it light in this area so it'll be easier to blend. Next I'm going to dip into my Aurora palette from Bad Habit. And I'm going to be dipping into shade Energy right here. It's a nice lime green sort of color. And I also am just going to run this in my crease just to start building up a little bit of color. This will also lighten up shade Courtney just so it's not so brown. I'm dipping into my Morphe 35U palette right here. And just with that same fluffy brush, I'm going to dip into this shade right here. It's like a nice light green color. And I'm just going to put that a little bit lower than that last color and just start to run it in a little bit lower that crease. And here we're just building up a nice green base to start with, because you don't want to go too green right away. You want to build up to that nice dark green just so we don't lose the fact that it is green, because it can get kind of lost. And anytime I'm doing a look and I get fallout, I just like to dust it away as I'm going, just so I don't accidentally smear it into my skin. Alright, moving on, I'm going to dip into shade Military right here. It's a nice matte green shade from the Jeffree Star Androgyny palette. And I'm taking this on a little bit smaller of a fluffy brush. And I'm just going to start packing this on my outer V. I like to pat on the initial color just so we can build up some pigmentation, and then I'll go back in with a bigger fluffy brush and blend out the edges. If you've never used a Jeffree Star eyeshadow palette, they're super pigmented and easy to blend, and it's actually one of my favorite formulas. Whenever he comes out with a new palette, I just get so excited to play with it. Alright, and then I'm just going to begin blending those edges. And I want to keep this look more rounded than pulled out, so I'm not going to drag the shadow out. I'm just going to blend where it is and bring it up into the crease. Now it's only fitting that I dip into the Zodiac palette right here from BH Cosmetics. If you haven't seen my review on this palette, look at my last video. It's actually became one of my favorite palettes and I use it almost every day. So I'm just going to dip into the Capricorn matte shade right here. It's another matte dark a matte dark green, sorry. And I'm just going to bring this almost a little bit lower, but right on top of Military. And this is just building up depth so my eye is not flat. We just want to make this nice and deep and dark. We're going for a very mystical and forest kind of vibe. You want to look like you are one with nature with this look. And then I'm just taking a big fluffy brush again and blending out those edges. I'm going to be dipping into the Wet n Wild Earth little quad here, or not a quad, but multiple shimmer palette. And I'm just going to be taking a flat brush and I'm going to dip into this teal shade right here. And this palette does have some fallout, so I'm going to wet the shadow before I put it on my eyelid. And to do this, I'm just going to go in with my L'Oreal setting spray. And I am just going to wet the brush and then apply it to my eyelid. Alright, I'm not really liking how that's applying with a brush, so I'm just going to go in with my finger and just pat that on my eye. I am going to wet my finger just to give that shadow some nice stickiness to it. There we go. I'm not really a fan of how shimmers apply with a brush. I normally go in with my finger, so there's nothing different or new to that. I always apply my shimmers with my finger. I just feel like they apply better, and if you really want that nice shimmery effect and glittery effect, it's always better just to go in with your finger and pat it on, as opposed to using a brush, in my opinion. Now, as you can tell, this shade does have some fallout. So again, I'm just going to take my little fallout brush, as I call it, and just dust that away. Then I'm going to be taking the little brush that has the Military shade on here, the nice green matte shade, and just begin blending that shimmer shade into the mattes, as well as blending it up into the crease. Moving on, I am just going to take that original fluffy brush and just go over everything, make sure it's all nice and blended together. Make sure there's no harsh lines or anything. It's getting a little bit patchy right here. I'm not sure, well actually I think it is the Wet n Wild that's getting a little patchy, so I'm just going to go back in with Military and just help blend everything together. Moving on to some glitter, we're going to go in with these Glitterazzi from Hard Candy, and this is in the shade Galactic. It's like a blue with a purple shift, and I feel like that's perfect for Virgo. I always think blue, purples, greens, earth, I don't know, space. Alright, and we're just going to pat this on the eyelid in kind of a circular shape. And then just using my brush to blend it out. And then I am just going to build this up a little. And you don't want to pull this color all the way into your inner corner. You want to leave that blank and dark. Alright, next I'm dipping into shade Aries right here. It's another tealy shade from the Zodiac palette from BH Cosmetics. And I'm just going to pat this on the center of where we put the glitterazzi. And then I'm just going to go in and start blending everything together once again, just so we don't have any harsh lines. So I'm going to be taking this little liquid glitter here from Pixie Cosmetics, and this one is in the shade Crystalline, which is one of the prettiest shades in the collection. It's like a holographic glitter, and it's more silver, and we're just going to keep this close to the lower, or you're going to keep this close to your lash line, and just simply dab it on there. Because we don't want to disrupt the blue underneath it, you just want this right where the blue meets your lash line. Alright, to finish up the rest of the eyes, I am going to do my lower lash line now. And I'm just going to be taking a white pencil and running this in my waterline. And this will just open up the eyes and give us that doll-like effect. Take a smaller fluffy brush and dipping back into the Aurora palette, I'm going to dip into the shade Dream State right here, which is a nice light nude shade. And I'm going to run that along my lower lash line. Then I'm going to dip into shade Energy, which was that nice lime green shade, and just run that along there as well. Next I'm going to be taking the Lash Paradise right here from L'Oreal, and I'm just going to go ahead and put on some mascara and do my eyelashes. To highlight the inner corner of my eye, I'm going back into the Earth Toned palette from Wet n Wild, and I'm dipping to the light gold shade right there, and I'm just going to pop this in my inner corner. Didn't give me exactly what I wanted, so I'm going to dip into shade Phenomenon right here. And it's kind of like a white gold shade. It's really pretty. And I'm going to pop that right on there as well. I bring those down onto the inner tear duct on the lower lash line, just to really open up my eyes. And there we are, that's all for the eyes, so we're going to move on to the face. I don't want to go heavy-handed with like my bronzer or blush or anything, because we do want to keep this a little bit more on the natural side. So I'm going to be taking my Butter Bronze, and I'm using shade Light Bronze because it is a little closer to my skin tone than the Deep Bronze, and we don't want to over contour. And I'm just going to run this on my cheek. And then on my forehead as well. I'm going to dip into my flower brush right here, and this is in shade Peach Primrose, and it's one of the best shades because it's very true to an orange peach shade, which I love. I don't like very pink blushes. I like more orange for my skin type. So I'm just going to keep this very far back and closer to my hairline because I don't want to bring it too far down. We are going for a more of a natural look. And for highlight, I am going with my Physicians Formula Champagne Highlighter right here. This is one of my favorite highlights. It just gives you such a beautiful golden highlight. And the formula is amazing. So let me just go ahead and pop this on. I'm just going to hit the cupid's bow, the chin, and right above my brows. Now we're going to move on to brows, and for brows today, I'm not going to fill them in simply because we are going for more of a natural look. So I'm just going to comb it through with a nice eyebrow gel. This is the Maybelline Brow Drama, and I just like to run this through, get a little bit of color, comb my brow hairs up, and just give me that nice, very bushy brow look. Just because my brows are already so full, and if I were to fill them in, it would just take away from that natural look. Now, I know the eyes are not natural by any means. No, these are not natural eyes. I mean, it could be if you're into it, but this is not a natural eye at all. But that's okay. It's more of a Virgo eye. And then for lips, I'm going to go in with this Milani Amore Shine, and this is in the shade 11 Charming. And if you never use these, they're like tinted glosses. I don't really know how to explain it. And no look is complete without a brow highlight, and I did forget to highlight my brow. So I'm just going to go back in with my Physicians Formula and highlight underneath my brow bone. Alright, and just to finish things off, I'm going to go in with my setting spray. And of course, tap that in with a sponge. And there we are. Alright, beauties, I'm back with the final look. I love this look for Virgo season. I think it really represents what a Virgo is to me. We have the nice earth tones, but still a little bit of a twist to it with the blue and the gold, and I just love this look so much. I do have to say, however, the Wet n Wild shadow wasn't exactly my favorite. I think it could work better with like a sticky base underneath the shadow. I personally don't like to put concealer and then a shadow on top of it. It's just not my forte. But everything else worked out perfect, and I hope you enjoy while we're in Virgo season and all of the productive energy that is around you. And just get some work done. Go on a picnic, go into nature, go explore. Just have a good time while we're in Virgo season. And I'll see you next season for Libra. Bye!